using artificial intelligence to up your science writing game. My guest is Dr. Emma Hitt Nichols. She is a medical writer and editor and has been serving medical communications and publishing companies for more than 20 years. She holds a PhD in cancer-related cell signaling, a master's degree in technical and professional communications, and a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. In 2015, Emma founded Nascent Medical, a team of medical writers serving CME/CPD companies and medical communications agencies, and has grown that to a team of over 80 writers. So,
all right.
Start. Okay, so let's start. You have some slides to share with us?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
All right. So, and we got somebody raised a hand. Okay, so that's cool. Not sure what to do with that. I guess
I don't know.
I guess we'll yeah, so I can start out by saying if you have any questions, I think that you can just go ahead and put them in the chat or the Q&A. I think it says there's a tab there that you can ask your questions, and I will get to them periodically throughout. And so, okay, let's go ahead and get started. And I just wanted to say, you know, I happen to be a medical writer, which is a subset of science writing, but I'm very fond of the science writing community. That's really how I started 20 years ago when I first realized, oh, I'm going to combine writing and science. And that's the first organization I found was the National Association of Science Writers. And I reached out and people were very helpful. And so I sort of gravitated towards medical writing, but you know, science writers, they just have as an important job as medical writers, for sure. That's for sure.
Well, medicine is science. So
yeah, but we medical writers, we do a lot of, you know, writing for doctors, but you really communicate to the public and play that public communications role. So that's really cool. And the harder, I think, sometimes. All right.
There's a question, can I record? We're recording this.
Oh, yeah, we're recording, right?
We are recording this, and and we post them all on YouTube.
Okay, great.
If anyone wants to go ahead and record, they can.
Oh, that was the question. Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. And it will be recorded also. And then, yeah, definitely ask your questions as we go along. All right. So let me get started. You can see I've got this rather, I don't know how to describe this picture, but it was AI created, and I was just playing around and overly active on called Firefly.
It's a tennis player with two-handed backhand.
Oh yeah, wow, okay, and a really bad racket with not straight strings, but okay. So, all right, using artificial intelligence to up your science writing game. So, I first want to start out with a poll that we have here, and hopefully this will work. I'll let you start that. Can you get that?
I can read it.
Oh, there it is.
AI and medical writing poll.
Yes, I can see it here. So, and it's anonymous, right? And there's some kind of
and
feeling like you don't want to admit you're using AI. That's fine. We won't know who responded. So I'm just going to let you take a minute and read those questions and answer them, and then we can talk about the results.
Yeah. And it says the host and the panelists cannot vote. So.
Oh, okay. So. Yes, I can see them coming in. We've got, yeah, we just wait until most people have responded. That's great.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead as they respond?
Okay. We're nearly, they're nearly there.
Okay.
Nearly there. Okay. So, all right, I can tell you what the responses are. So the first question was, how do you currently view the role of AI in your work? And 6% said, I use it as much as possible and don't want to go back to not using it. 31% said, I'm using it and still trying to see the benefits. 40% said, I've tried it a few times, but have found it not that helpful. Interesting. Okay. And then 24%, a quarter of the people that are interested in a webinar on AI and science writing said, I will hold out as long as possible and will not use it. All right. So we should probably do it at the end too and see if anything's changed.
Yeah.
And then number 2, which of the following is true for you? AI does the following. It saves time, 31%. It improves quality, 6%. It saves time and improves quality, 12%. And then it does not save time or improve quality, 17%. And then not sure is 35%. All right, well, that's so interesting. So I'm just gonna actually can share these results here. Okay. So that's interesting. So only 6% see value or are currently using AI and don't want to go back to not using it. So interesting. Okay, so let me just see what I can shed light on here. Of course, ChatGPT has only been around in its current form since, end of November 2022. So, none of us are like day in, day out experts. But, personally, I went from like not wanting to use it at all to being like nervous about somebody finding out I was trying to use it. And then I think I would encourage anyone as a science writer or a medical writer to, kind of try to embrace the technology because it's really is going to change our field a lot. So I just wanted to start out with this article. It was published in Science, July 2023. And just, one of many studies. This one involved 453 college-educated professionals. And whoever was grading their assignment said that the average time taken was decreased by 40% and output equality rose by 18%. And you can look that up if you're interested in it, but that's just one example. And I would say, just in my experience and when I do use it, it has definitely can save time when you get used to introducing it into your workflow, and it can improve quality too, if you're careful. All right, how are we doing on, we've got one question here. Okay, that was the same one. Okay.
Same one, yeah.
Okay, good.
I'll read the questions. So.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll let you worry about that. Now I've got to get this off my screen. Okay. Sort of blocking my screen. Okay. I need to get that. I'm blocking my screen. One moment. I cannot see my slide. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to close that. And sorry, one more second here. All right. Technology, can't live with it, can't live with it. Okay, there it is. There it is. We closed it. We closed it. Okay, good. Okay, so what I'll cover is I'll explain how some of these chatbots work. So what's a chatbot? So OpenAI, ChatGPT's chat is a chatbot, and there are several others. And I'm talking to 96 people here, and I'm sure some of you are like, of course we know what a chatbot is. And then some other people are like, what's a chatbot? So please, try to go with the flow on the explanations. Should you use ChatGPT even? What are some of the applications in science writing? I'll talk about writing effective prompts, and I'll give you a download that you'll be able to use if you so wish, that is tailored for science writing. I'll talk about custom GPTs, which can be a good place to get started with improving your workflow. I'll talk about ways to add back the human touch into GPT-generated content, which is so important. And then we'll talk about upping your game, what you can do. And we'll talk about the future. Not that anybody really knows the future, but I can give you some of the thoughts that I have, and we can talk about it. All right, so some of the major large language models or chatbots, I'm sure you've heard of them. So we have GPT-4, and then just this week, GPT-4.0 came out. Those are OpenAI. They're probably the most popular, most most used, and they're pretty good. GPT-4.0 is actually faster. And apparently it can do like real-time audio and video and image recognition. And so a use of that is like you could go to Italy and it can do real-time translation for you from your English to your Italian, for instance, which if you think about it, has like a big ramification for like Duolingo. Do you still need to learn a language if you can, do this? So it has all these ramifications, and this has really come upon us so quickly, more quickly than most people expected. And so you can imagine like it's accelerating. We're going to have ChatGPT 5 this summer, which I don't know how that's going to be improved, but I'm sure it is going to be improved. We have Claude 3. A lot of people like Claude. It's supposed to be more effective writing. It's supposed to be a more human type of writing, and stylistically, people find that to be preferable sometimes to ChatGPT. We've got Gemini, which is good across Google products and devices. And then we have Copilot. So that's Microsoft, and Microsoft owns part of ChatGPT too, or OpenAI. But Copilot is preferable in some of the corporate settings, and it's supposed to be more secure if you use it with Microsoft Business Suite and things like that. So those are the main ones, and then there are others, of course. So how do these ChatGPT chatbots and other chatbots work? And I might just say ChatGPT and be referring to all the chatbots. But basically, they create sentences on the basis of probability. And when you think of probability, you might think, oh, heads or tails, 50-50, right? But this is like probability, way trillions and trillions of things, right? It's very, very powerful. It's a large language model. And what happens is it's not that it's ever going to plagiarize your piece. If you put up a piece into ChatGPT, let's say, it may very well use it to train down the road, but it's not going to put back out your piece, because this is not how they work. They are probabilities for each word, and they go to a specific domain in their knowledge, and that's why it's good to tell the chatbot in the prompt exactly what domain you're in, and help it do the prompt. Okay, but it does explain the hallucinations, and ChatGPT isn't that great at math right now, because it's not designed to do that. And I don't know if you've had the experience of, anytime you say, I want references I want to write a passage about some topic, scientific topic or medical topic, and I want you to reference it using PubMed references. It will give you PubMed references, but they'll have absolutely nothing to do with the topic that you're writing about. And it will confidently state things that are not accurate. And so that's why it's gotten a bad rap. But if you think about how it's working, that it's because it's random. Okay.
What are the hallucinations?
Hallucinations, for instance, I put in something, tell me the mechanism of action of some kind of drug. And it confidently stated something that was not, it was close. It wasn't even close. It was like the mechanism of a drug used for the same treatment, but it wasn't for that drug.
Okay.
Used for the same disease, right? So it's even like more dangerous, because it looks right and it's almost right, but it's not right. So that's the problem. I have a solution to that if you stay with me. There is a solution, but you cannot use ChatGPT for things where you expect factual information, unfortunately. Now, it's great for creative things where facts aren't so important. All right. So I'll explain this in a minute. Do we have any questions we need answering, or how are we doing?
I'm going to hold off on the questions till you do
Okay.
your
All
presentation.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Great. So should you use ChatGPT even? All right. Well, obviously, I think that there's a role, but let me pull this up. And this is a little flow chart I made. And if you've seen this, it is downloadable off of my site. So if you've already seen this, I apologize, but I think it's worth going through because this is very important. So I changed it from medical to science writing for you guys. Should I use Gen AI in my science writing or editing project? So the first question when you think about using ChatGPT is, will I save time and or improve quality? Oops. And if it won't, if the answer is no, then don't use it. It's okay. Don't use it. It's unwise to use it. But if it will save you time, if there's a chance that it will, then you should try to use it. And so if the answer is yes, then the next question you have to ask yourself is, am I an expert in the topic? And as science or medical writers, 99 times out of 100, we're not going to be experts in what we're writing about. If you're a lead researcher in a field, yes, but no, we're going to say no for that. And then, am I willing to fact check every sentence? And, or understand whatever it is that you're writing, you are responsible for whether it's accurate. So if the answer is no, then it's unwise, unethical to use. If the answer is yes, you can continue on. And then you have to say, is this information provided confidential? So one of the things, medical writers do, we write up summaries from ad board meetings for pharma companies where all these doctors are gathering around, and it's very confidential information. So how would you feel about telling your client you were uploading that into ChatGPT? You probably wouldn't be okay with that or want to. So you have to be really careful. So, so if the information is confidential, then you have to be willing to take precautions or get approval, right? And if not, then you're okay. And then if you're willing to get approval, then yes, you're okay. And then so the next one is, am I willing to add my own writing voice, and or is this part of a greater whole? So I think that's the really important thing. What you want to avoid, even for something like a social media post on LinkedIn, right? You don't want to, you see it so often, I think, that people just post something that's very obviously just like a bulleted list generated out of chat GPT, and it just doesn't, it's, I don't know, it's something missing. Anyway, I'll tell you how to humanize the writing later on. But I think that it's really important because it's so powerful. And you see, wow, all this text that would have taken me so long to write. But yet, what kind of text is it, right? So you still have to read through it and put your writing voice on it. And then if it's part of a greater whole, and what I mean by that is, if you're using ChatGPT to edit, that's great that you can do that. Or like what I do all day long is write up studies from abstracts in PubMed, right? To describe them in a manuscript. And so what you can get is like a 3 to 4 sentence summary of that and make sure it's right and put it into your manuscript. Then it's part of a greater whole and you're still writing the manuscript. All right. Okay, so if there's any questions, put them in the Q&A. That's great. All right, I'll continue on. Oh, yes, okay. And then, I covered this a little bit, ethics and transparency. Again, you should not use AI unless you're using it as part of a larger whole. And also, are you willing to acknowledge the use of AI? I mean, I have a couple of clients where on their contract, actually one main client where they don't like us using AI. So, I mean, you'd have to sort of address that with them if you want to use AI. And how do you feel about telling your client or employer that you're using AI? And it's interesting because, and I don't know which study this was, but I heard it that a lot of CEOs at companies, they had all these plans to sort of introduce AI into the workplace, and that they've kind of not been very successful as a whole in implementing AI. But what is happening is that employees are like signing up for things on their own time and learning how to use it. And that's where it's starting to be used. And so they're not sure if they should tell their employer, it's all very random is how it's being introduced into the workplace. If anybody has like a thought about that, or if it's a similar experience where you work, then go ahead and put that in the chat. And then you need to be able to do the work needed to make it read in your own voice. And, you know, if you're a professional writer, then you will have your own writing voice. And if you're not a professional writer yet, let's just hope that you'll develop it even with ChatGPT around, because that's kind of what we need to do. And then also following any necessary guidelines and taking any precautions. There is a way to download. There are platforms. There's one called JAN.AI, where you can download an actual large language model onto your computer, which I mean, I find that amazing. But you can do it, and I've done it with mine. And so if you had something super sensitive that you didn't want in ChatGPT, then you can certainly download that onto your laptop. You have to have a, you know, maybe a not too old laptop and enough power on it, but you can take precautions. Any questions, David? How you doing?
I'm okay. I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I know that some, newspapers, people who write for newspapers and magazines, they actually filter to see if something has been written by AI.
Yes. Yes.
And if you don't tell them, they're not going to be very happy.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I use a what would you call it? A website, an app. You can paste in the text and see just exactly what's going on with that. You know, whether somebody's using AI or human. They're not 100% accurate, so you can't.
here's a basic question I had. So
Yeah.
I was doing an article on glial cells. I just asked, tell me about glial cells. And they found, lots, tons of pages. But then I realized all of this, came from, sources that it wasn't original writing. It was things that they found on the internet and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, so they're doing it faster than, I could probably find it. But
Mhm.
it's not original content. They're not creating content, original thoughts.
By using ChatGPT?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask them, tell me about brain cells, and they just find everything that they do, across the computer. That's not original to me.
So what would you do then? Would you just rewrite it? How would you do that?
I would probably, it'd be like if I Googled, how does the cerebellum work? I would, have that and rewrite it in my voice and and use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you've been writing for years and years, right? So, and we all have, and so you're right, you have a strong writer's voice. That's what worries me, is the people without the strong writing voice that will just take the ChatGPT output and then you have sort of all this content out there that's not so great. But I would say that because of the way large language models are set up, it's not really it is original content, just like it might not be how we would write it, but it is original content, you
So
know.
do you want to finish what you have?
Sure.
Slide,
Yeah.
and then we'll get to the questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So the next section's about writing prompts, so we can answer some questions if you want.
Um, how many more do you have left?
How many more slides?
Yeah,
I got a lot.
you got a lot. Okay, so let's answer some questions.
Okay, I can keep going. Yeah.
Okay, so when I've asked AI to give me information based on and citing only peer-reviewed sources, it says it doesn't have access to these sources. What do I do?
Ask AI to give me
It's like
yes. Okay. So
it's like
you're using
yeah. I mean,
you're
it's like
using
articles that are under a peer.
yes. Yes. Okay. So are you using ChatGPT because you probably just want to go to Perplexity AI? That's my solution for that. Try Perplexity AI.
And that can get through paywalls.
It will pull up. It might not pull up. It pulls up reputable references. They might not be ones that you can include in a paper or something, but it will pull up good references, and then you can go from there. and do your searching and all the whatever you do.
So here's a great question.
Mhm.
Are they free? Are these is ChatGPT and the rest, are they free?
ChatGPT is free, except if you want the GPT-4, the one that works well with the bells and whistles,
Okay.
then that is $20 a month. And I would pay that much more than that, really, honestly, if you consider the time saved. But it's $20 a month for the ChatGPT.
Okay.
It's not
Now the
too
question
bad.
is, what do you mean by put it in your piece to ChatGPT?
So if you have so upload it or copy and paste it into the form field or whatever you call it. Yeah, load it in, like just you can, so if you have the paid version, you can upload an attachment or you can copy and paste it and put it into chat. And then so you can toggle the settings off. So that's one of the precautions that you can take. Go to data controls and toggle it off so it's not going to be used for training. So that's one of the things that you can do, but then it doesn't save your history. So
Now here's a good question. In your experience, when you use ChatGPT to write something and you apply your own voice, do the AI detectors pick it up?
yes. So when I incorporate ChatGPT, it does a pretty good job of noticing that AI has been used. But I always have to try to get it over 50% human.
Okay.
Now, one of the indicators of that it's human is that it's got errors in it. So we don't want it to be 100% human. So yeah, that's a good rule of thumb to use something like that. One of the websites I use is called zerogpt.me. GPT0.me, sorry. And I'll show you that in a minute. But that's a good place. You can paste it in. It seems to be pretty accurate.
Okay, I'll do one more question, then
Yes.
then we can come back to them. What if you are writing about proprietary research and mention confidential names, etc.? Does all that information go into the training modules? And do we have to worry about that? I think you would.
Yeah, one of the things you could do if you're very concerned about it is to change out the names, or to, code it for yourself. You can do that, like find and replace if you're worried about it. Turn the toggles off for data controls, and then it won't save the history, but it won't go into the training. But the chance of, like, if I'm an Amazon employee, I wouldn't put like confidential Amazon data into ChatGPT, right? But and I don't mishear me here because, but I think there's a kind of there can be a lot of concern about the confidentiality things where in fact it it gets all randomized up and jumbled up, you know? So enough said about that because somebody's going to mishear me and say it's okay to put confidential stuff, and it's not. But so you have to, whatever you do, if you feel comfortable telling your client or your employer and tell them, then just go with that. Okay.
So
All right.
why don't you go on with the presentation?
Yes. Okay. All right. That was fun. I enjoyed answering those questions. There it is. Okay. I just moved it. Okay, good. All right. So writing effective prompts, probably most everybody in here has written prompts, but it's science writers, medical writers, we're going to be really good at this because if we're good at what we do, we're able to put ourselves into the role of the reader, right? We're advocating on our reader's behalf to make something reach them, right? Is that what we do as writers? Okay, so that's what you have to do with chat. You have to think of it like a person that you're giving directions to. And so if you just say something random, you're going to not get the result that you want. So you have to point the chatbot to the right domain. So you are a science writer conducting research, you're a grammarian, you're an expert in multiple myeloma, whatever it is. All right. And then you want to be clear and specific about the output. So you want to say, I need 3 paragraphs on such and such. I need it formatted as a bulleted list, for example, and my audience is clinicians. All right. And then provide an example if possible. All right. And then some of the applications in science writing, I was thinking about all the things, right? So it's not just that you're just going to output a piece and say, here you go, editor, enjoy. No, it's not going to be like that. So, but what it is so amazing with, and this can actually improve our creativity, is we can generate ideas, outlines. If you want a title for the article, put the article into ChatGPT and say, I need 10 titles from this, and then use your human brain to pick the best title, right? Summarizing abstracts, I'll show you that in a bit. It's very helpful. And research papers too. You can, if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, you can upload a PDF file into Chat and say, please give me the main points of this article. All right. Pretty amazing. It's good for editing and proofreading. I use something called Edit GPT, which is a Chrome extension. And it basically has an editor format that you can paste in text. And I just find it's better than Word. And, it really catches just the typo thing where you've got an extra word or something that Word would not necessarily catch. So that's been really helpful. And then adapting content for different audiences. Perhaps you wrote something and the client says that the piece isn't hitting the right level, or you can go down or up with the science, by being very specific. And, I've typed in complex topics into Chat and say, please explain this like I'm a high school student. And it's just right at my level, right? It was a complex topic that I know nothing about, quantum physics, then you can just do that for your own enlightenment. And it's, revolutionizing teaching. All of this is so helpful. I was trying to learn bookkeeping the other day, and that whole double entry bookkeeping system, and it's kind of like I've never been able to grasp it. So I said, I'm really going to try to grasp it, and I had ChatGPT write me out 50 test questions on the double entry bookkeeping system. But you need to know if you have a business, I guess. And now I know it, so that was good. And then interpreting data and generating insights. And then, like, for instance, you can actually take a picture of a bar chart, let's say, or a slide, put it into ChatGPT and say, give me what is the interpretation of this? And it will tell you. And then thinking up questions to ask researchers, upload a paper into Chat, have it give you 10 questions you should ask this researcher in an interview about this paper, and pick the best 5. And then summarizing transcripts. With transcripts, they're still not that great. I use otter.ai all the time, but it still gets things wrong, right? So once you've gone through the transcript, then you can use it to summarize it.
So Emma, do you know a good teacher who can teach people how to use AI productively?
What's that?
Do you know a good teacher who can, teach us
Yeah.
to use AI productively?
Yeah, I have a course.
Okay, so tell us about your course.
Oh, well, thank you. We're not near the end, are we?
No, I just want to.
Oh, okay.
I just want to know that there is a course.
Yes, there is a
I
course.
can't. I'm listening to all this and saying, I
there
can't
is a
remember this. I'm not right. So.
Yeah, no, there is a course. It opens up tomorrow, coincidentally. And you can go to learnamasstyle.com if you'd like to find out more about that. Anyway, custom GPTs. So creating a custom GPT for your own routine tasks. I'll just quickly show you this. If this is beyond anybody, it shouldn't be. It's pretty straightforward. Trust me, if I could, I don't want to put myself down, but like, if I can figure this stuff out, anybody can figure it out. So I have this new FDA approvals podcast, and I write a script every week. And I don't really have time for all this, right? But what I am able to do with this custom GPT that I created is, let me show you this new FDA approvals podcast. And I set this up for myself. So basically I can take a press release and put it into the format I need for my script. And so I can just read it when I'm done. So let me just type in Pfizer press releases. Let's see. For example. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste this press release. Now I've told it not to include quotes. It's got to be in a certain format. And I'm just going to stick all this into chat. And so this is my custom GPT. This isn't the regular chat, okay? And you can do this for something if you have to regularly create a similar format of something. You can set up your own. So I'm just going to put that in. And sorry, my screen's not big enough, but you can see it's in exactly the format that I have asked it to be. The FDA, let's see. Yeah, here it is. The FDA has approved. And so this is something that I would read and of course read it and make sure it's accurate. But yes, and so that's so quick, right? Compared to what I would normally have to do. And basically I just set it up. And that's where I would encourage you to start. If you want to try something out, go to these explore GPTs. You have to have the paid version of chat, and you can set up a new one. And I'm not going to show you how to do that, but like it's pretty intuitive. And so that's would be a great place to start if you wanted to try it out.
So here's a question I like.
Yes.
Can you ask AI to generate an article refuting an article you've written yourself in order to anticipate arguments that will make it that we made in response to your article?
Yes, that would be a great thing to do. Yeah, because you're uploading it into chat, so it's nice. So it doesn't have to. It's not going to give you a hallucination in that case, right? Because you're giving it the parameters, just your article, and then you say, "Give me what you gonna say? Refute everything in there, like the arguments that you're going to have about it."
Yeah, I mean, say, okay, I'm writing this paper. What are people going to say to me? That's, how are people going to challenge me?
Okay. Yeah. No. Give me 10 questions that people would use to challenge me on this.
Yeah.
It will totally. Yeah, that would be a great use of it.
And here's because there's actually a study that came out that says that AI saves people time, but they spend a lot more time fact checking and doing everything. So it was kind of evened out. But how do you input all that information and some information about the topic you want them to write about when there's a limit on how much information you can upload into the prompt?
Yeah, the limits have changed a lot. They're a lot bigger. I've never actually personally run up against them.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. But I could tell you, let me just quickly get to
Okay.
I'm gonna skip that one because if you want to check out Chat Hub, you can see two chatbots against side by side. So I'm not going to demonstrate that, but that's fascinating. It's called Chat Hub. My two favorite tools, okay? All day long, I use these. Well, not all day long, but a lot of the day. Perplexity.ai. If you try anything, do try that. I don't know if it's widely used as much, or they keep threatening to, take it away. And I don't want them to do that. I really don't.
And for those listening, you don't have to take notes. This is being recorded and will be on YouTube, so you can see all this.
But the next time you have something scientific, if anybody wants to give me a topic, let me do, I'll do this one. What are the bispecific antibodies? I always use this one because I know what the answer is, and this is my test to show it's right. What are the bispecific antibodies used for multiple myeloma? There happen to be 3 myeloma. There happen to be 3 approved in the US, right? So the reason Perplexity is good is because there are no hallucinations, and there are no hallucinations because it searches first, and then AI generates text describing the information that it's found, and it gives you inline references. And you can see this reference list right here. And first of all, let me just show you the approved bispecific antibodies, this is all correct. And it's even given me the ones in clinical trials, which is also correct. So half my, I mean, you know, assuming it's correct, which I know it to be, then that's pretty good. That saved me like, you know, a bit of time there. But you can see all these sources, right? Some of them OncLive, reputable source, but nothing that you can cite. But you can probably look in this source and find information. City of Hope, you probably wouldn't source that. But there's PubMed here. So you have to pick and choose what you include, but you can also go to PubMed and find what you need. And I'm sorry if I'm going from a medical writer perspective here, but I think it's similar, right? For science writing. And then this one, let me just show you this real quick. GPT-0. Let me get an abstract from PubMed before ChatGPT came on the scene. Let's just do breast cancer. I'll just do that one, 2016. I'm going to put this in here and see if it's AI generated, and it won't be because this was 2016. So I just pasted that into that box there, check origin. And you can see it's 81% human, which that's pretty much just human, right? Obviously, it's going to be a little bit off. And so you should definitely test your own writing and make sure you don't have like 100% AI going on, because you don't want that, because your editor is probably going to be using something like this.
So Emma, I'd like to, maybe we could stop sharing the screen and we could just go to questions and.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay.
Great. So, I basically, if we were holding this discussion a year from now, what do you predict, that more and more people will be using this, or there will be some limit, or more companies will have limitations? I mean, what's your prediction a year from now or 5 years from now?
My prediction is
I mean, it's here to stay. It's not going away.
It's not going away.
Okay.
It's not going away. And I think there's a few things that will increase in value. That is, like, really good writing will increase in value where you know it's not AI generated, like the humanity of it, right? The ones with the anecdotes and just the really good writing. So that's here to stay. And I think that there will still be a need that, well, as long as you have humans on the planet and you have complicated healthcare and complicated mechanisms, and there will be a need for the value that you can add of explaining things in a way that humans can understand. But I think it's just I mean, it's some of it's good and then some of it's bad. For example, if something takes you half as long because of AI, should you charge half the price?
No. I mean, you're fulfilling
That
your
was my
assignment.
response. That was my response.
Well, I mean, you're fulfilling an assignment. I mean, you know. So.
Well, I mean, I can already see it, right? So we get a lot of projects, a lot of freelance projects, you know, and I can say that, you know, some of them are like, here's $1,000 for this project. And we push back and say, you used to pay us $2,000. Oh, no, we're paying 1,000. That's our rate. So they're not telling us to use AI, but if we want the project, then we've got to use AI to get it done.
I'll tell a story. I was at the New York Public Library, and they had a show, a display about Ernest Hemingway's letters to famous people. And he's writing to F. Scott Fitzgerald, and he was saying, "Can you believe it?" He said, "The New York Times is only paying me $1 a word, and I'm risking my life in the Spanish Civil War." And I'm thinking, the New York Times has cut people down from $2 to $1 a word. So it's yeah. So yeah. I mean, I do understand that. I mean, they're assuming that you're writing quicker because you can Google things faster. I mean, or use
Right.
ChatGPT. Yeah.
Right, but if you look at the bigger picture,
Yeah,
then the company is only paying 1,000, but they can now afford 2 of them,
yeah,
right? So that improves the economy for everybody, right? And we can get them done. We can take on 2 instead of 1. So, I just predict a rapid acceleration. I think, at least with healthcare, and science is more complex. Um, yeah, I think it'll be overall net positive, but I think some people will just lose their jobs and and the market will shrink.
all right, so
Sorry.
I have 10 questions. Can you protect confidential information but still use ChatGPT to summarize information?
Yes, you can go to settings and then data controls and then make sure that switch is toggled off. Yeah.
You mentioned the content is original because of the way LLMs are set up. I'm, I'm not sure what LLMs are, but essentially, isn't it like repurposing content that is fed to train these models?
Um, yes, but I mean, what do you do when you find sources and write? You're also repurposing
Yeah,
the facts.
and you're synthesizing and all these things. Yeah.
There's Alan Brown. Hi, Alan Brown. I just want to call him out.
Yeah. Alan Brown is on our board. He's a good friend of
Ah,
Yes. And actually,
long time no
I've
talk.
been a little remiss that the idea for this came from our newest board member, Monica Smith. And the person who is actually making this all possible behind the scenes is Jennifer Cable, who's also a new board member. So I want to, give some shout outs to people. And another board member, I see Sheila Haas, she's listening in as well. She's our treasurer, so she's very important. How similar are the different chatbots? It's hard to make the time investment to learn them as they're continually changing and new ones are being created.
Yeah, I mean, I think I favor ChatGPT. I know people who favor Claude, so it's what you're used to. I'd say ChatGPT is the one that has the most sort of research behind it and is probably going to be improved the quickest. So I would use that one.
So here's a question from Rebecca Shannonhouse, who was my former editor when I wrote with Bottom Line Health, who was a great editor. And she wrote, how is the AI checker different from a plagiarism checker?
Well, plagiarism checker checks for plagiarism.
Okay.
And sorry, a little circular. And then the AI checker checks for whether something's AI generated.
This is from Alan Brown, who you mentioned, and was on our board. And justification for high pay is an old joke. The guy's car breaks down, he calls the mechanic. Mechanic opens the hood and turns the screw. He said, that's $50. The guy says, $50 for turning a screw? He says, no, $1 to turn the screw, $49
Right.
for knowing which screw to turn. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And I think that's a very good a good point, because I mean, we have to be very careful about sort of putting out our value. Like if we know how to use AI, that's nobody's business, right? We're giving you the end product of what you asked for.
Okay. I mean, it's like someone once said to me about being a writer, I said, don't you just have to like sit down and type words? And I said, yeah, but you got to know which ones to type, right? It's not as easy. Yeah. Sheila Haas, who's our board member, says, why is AI valued for explaining complex concepts effectively? To me, that is part of being an effective science or medical writer.
Why is AI valued for
For
explaining
explaining
complex?
complex concepts, when basically that's
Because
hard.
I can get something explained like at 4 in the morning at my own, like because it's instantaneous. But you can also Google. I mean, it's fine, but I don't really understand.
Basically saying, I think I'm talking about her, but she was saying, it's my job to be to write the complex data. Not anyways. Okay. Do you need to be careful about pasting in data that hasn't yet been published? I would say yes. Or concerns about pasting in a grant proposal you've written to generate questions that challenge the research. where does the information you enter go?
My understanding, and this is if you, okay, we understand you can go into chat and you can turn the training data off. Turn that off. All right. Now it won't save your history when you do that. So know that. But if the training data switch is toggled on, then at some point down the road, they may take what you've entered and use that as part of their training model. Maybe down the road in the next version. So I mean, you probably shouldn't paste in confidential information, but no.
Okay, so no, because I don't believe that I don't believe that anything totally disappears. Okay, many medical journals require authors to disclose if you use AI to write or edit.
Mhm.
Some journals don't allow it. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I think you should do absolutely what is needed for, and if you feel uncomfortable disclosing it, then maybe you shouldn't use it. The product that you put out at the end of everything needs to be professionally written, regardless of how you got there. So if there was AI used in it, then you need to be comfortable stating that.
And how do you determine whether you're going to save time using a chatbot, especially if you need to fact check everything? How do you know?
Well,
Right.
so like I said, so fact checking with Perplexity, there's a lot, it's a lot safer. And then with um, ChatGPT, I probably wouldn't even use it in a sense where it would need to be fact checked, except for, if you're summarizing an abstract into 3 or 4 sentences, then yeah, you need to read the sentences and compare it to the abstract, and that just doesn't take too long.
Okay,
Not
so
as long as
I'm going
writing.
to read the last question is from Joe Bonner, who is my co-chair, and who he and I originated this over 3-year YouTube series going to 4. I have read that you can train AI to provide responses in your writing voice by using samples of your work. Have you done this, and what are the ethics of doing that?
I haven't done it for my own writing voice, but I've created a custom GPT for my husband,
Okay,
who's a fiction writer.
okay.
And he doesn't, I don't think he's used it lately, but you can upload your writing style, and yeah, you can do that. And I don't know, but you still have to spend hours and hours, fixing it.
So
If it's
you,
your, you know,
so you
if
can
it's
say, write me poetry like
yeah, yeah,
Nikki Giovanni or anyone like
yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah. Write out the Constitution of Independence in the voice of, I don't know. Yeah, you can do anything. You should try it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So again,
nothing better to do.
so so how often are your courses ongoing? How often do you
Oh,
offer them?
yeah, thank you for asking. So this is the second time I've offered it, and you can go on to learnamasstyle.com, and it opens up at 9 a.m. tomorrow for registration for a few days. So the next
Okay.
cohort. So there's like
And
6
how long
modules.
is the course?
Well, it's self-paced with 6 modules, but it goes over AI and an introduction, AI in medical writing, AI in editing, also slides. One of the things that I recommend to writers is that they become full stack writers. So that would mean that you also can produce graphics, and it's a lot. You got to learn some stuff, but with all the tools that we have available now, um, it's helpful, I think, to some of our clients anyway, that if you can do more than just writing. Not that there's anything wrong with just writing, but yeah, I think that anyway, my course talks about that, and then also work options. There's ways to bolt on skills onto your writing and ways to advance so that you can shore up your future if you're worried about work disappearing or shrinking. These are things that we should do.
Okay. So I want to thank you, and I hope, maybe in 6 months or a year, you'll come back and talk to us more.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've actually got a lot more slides, but
But
that's okay. Maybe another time.
we have 6 minutes if you want to. Is there
Okay,
something
all
you really
right.
want to show?
I mean, I just go through the last few slides. So ways to, sorry about I didn't really spend much time on these AI generated graphics, obviously, but so adding back the human touch. So if you have this block of chat GPT generated text, you can, and of course I asked chat GPT said, what are the ways to add back human elements into AI generated content? So tell personal anecdotes, add in opinions and reflections, use a conversational tone, vary the sentence structure, express emotions, provide subjective insights, and add in relevant, timely cultural references and engage the reader. So these are all like tools that we have in our tool belt. So you're using AI as part of a greater whole, right? And just all these things that we know about. Inject humor, it's always good. And then when I think about the future, another rather bit of an eyesore, these graphics. Experiment with Chat GPT as much as possible if you want to do it. I think you kind of should if you're a writer. I just think to hold out you're going to find yourself as a disadvantage, I believe. That's just, even if you don't want to. All right, so the field may shrink, but we'll always need people who can communicate to other humans about science. And just, make an effort to be in the top 20%. No harm in that. The human aspect of writing is more important than ever. And then authenticity, accuracy, and fact checking is more important than ever. And then upping your game. I'm constantly on LinkedIn Learning. I highly recommend it. You can see what's new and just learn the things. Spend like an hour a day if you can, learning things. And that's good for anything, right? Good, any industry, but especially writing at this point. Coursera, Free Code Camp. We obviously all don't have to learn how to code, but if you want to learn some more than even that, that's lots of, it's a nonprofit and it's lots of free videos on YouTube about at Free Code Camp. And then Microsoft Learn is a platform that if you wanted to learn things from Microsoft, like Azure, cloud computing, and other Microsoft, they have a huge platform where you can just learn some stuff. Now, a lot of us don't want to do that. I get it. But if you're worried about like being, losing writing work, then why not just add on another skill? Data Camp 2 is really good. I like their learning. It's very gamified. And then Udacity also for technical things. And then, strategies for adding value, become a full stack science writer. So try to think, we don't all have to become, graphics, but like, what can we do to increase the creative experience? Hey, listen, if you have clients and you don't need to do any of that, that's wonderful, but it's another avenue. You can become an expert in the role of AI in science or medicine. So you can write or consult, all right? There's so much about AI used in drug discovery. That's a huge topic. And if you really delve in deep and understand it, then you can write about it, be that person. If you work for a company, you can become the person who knows about AI and the things that it can do, helping colleagues implement it. Always good. Or you can teach stuff like I like to do. Learn new things. So cybersecurity or cloud computing. And I say, to me, those just make me fall asleep, those words. But maybe that's something that you can get a certificate. These are both things that you can do to get a certificate in, and you can specialize in like healthcare, pharma, science, and combine that and sort of up your career. Okay, it's about upping your science writing game, but also just upping your career. So the future, got a rather worried looking person here. Uh, but my earlier question, should we get paid half if we can do something in half the time? I do not know the answer to that question.
The answer is no.
No. All right. Well, we're going to try to encourage these people to pay us.
Okay, so I think we'll end with this. I want to thank Dr. Emma Hitt Nichols for spending time with us, and hope to see you again. And thank you everyone who tuned in. It's great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take care.
bye.
Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. It's
Take
been a
care.
pleasure. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.